started as a bank PO,
I wanted to create a digital bank within the bank.
dedicated 40 years of his life.
When I joined the bank, kind of infrastructure which was there in the country also was not in too good a shape.
Became the chairman of India's largest bank.
When I look back, it gives me a lot of satisfaction. Our cumulative profit in 4 years was higher than the cumulative profit of previous 64 years.
Previous 64 years. Under his leadership, SBI surpassed 60,000 crore annual net profit, first for any Indian bank, led India's largest merger in the history of banking industry. This is a story of hard work, persistence and dedication. Thank you for agreeing to do this, sir.
Thank you very much for giving me a chance to be here.
Watch till the end to witness the man himself behind this tremendous growth. Sir, this is a very special podcast for me. As I was telling you before we started recording, that my parents spent all of their lives in public sector banks. So when I meet someone like you who's chaired the largest public sector bank in India and see your journey, it's just an incredible feeling. During your watch, the bank's profits became 3x, the stock went up more than 4x. What was some of the big changes that you would credit this to? At some point, you were also called the profit king in that era.
Well, essentially, I would say that my effort was that we should improve the per employee wages. Again, focus is on productivity. In fact, per employee wages almost tripled in this period.
Tripled in the period?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that has also happened. When I look back, it gives me a lot of satisfaction. Our cumulative profit in 4 years was higher than the cumulative profit of previous 64 years.
Previous 64 years?
Yeah.
Wow.
Perhaps for at least for 2 years or so out of 4 years, the bank's profit were the highest earned by any corporate, any listed corporate. So I think, as I mentioned that, unless and until you address the pain points, the problems which they were facing, how can we address? Be it machine, be it knowledge. Actually, during COVID, we started this. We had come out with the Google of State Bank. If at all any employee has got any question to ask, they can simply key in there and the answers will come. Oh. What we actually get to see today in Perplexity or ChatGPT. Yeah. So during those days, we did that. And also building a sharper focus. I always believe that it's a Pareto principle which holds good in the bank. About 80% of the business is done by 20% of the distribution outlets. So first and foremost, improve those 20%. Then it will have the ripple effect on the remaining.
Yeah.
So that is something which was done.
What an incredible time. Sir, you started at SBI in 1984 and you demitted office in 2024. In the 40 years you saw at SBI, what are some of your memories in how the transformation of that bank happened in that period?
When I joined the bank, the kind of infrastructure which was there in the country also was not in too good a shape, and also what the shape of the economy was and where are we today. We are growing at more than 6%, 6.5%, and also we are aspiring to grow on a sustainable basis at about 8% plus. So that is a very clear reflection of the kind of journey which the country has gone through all these years. So I always believe that banking is synonymous to the real economy, and likewise the banks have also evolved themselves over the period of time. 1984 to 1990 was a period when there was all public sector banks. In the name of private sector bank, there was only HDFC Limited used to be there, which was not even a bank.
Yes.
And post 1990, actually somewhere in 91, 92, we started the private sector banking coming to surface. And also, this was a point of time when even the interest rates were liberalized, in the sense that banks were given the freedom of deciding the interest rates. Somewhere in the year 2000 onwards, we started as a State Bank of India. We started getting into retail finance. Earlier, we were known to be the corporate bank. Post 2000, I would say that this trend actually became very strong. That was the point of time when the mortgage finance, which is essentially home loans, they became popular. So I think that is also an era where we have seen that growth, the mushroom growth of the retail sector was actually seen thereafter.
It's been an incredible journey. During this time, it would seem that managing the cultural change would be a very, very hard task, especially for a bank which has tens of thousands of employees across branches which are probably very hard to physically access also. How did some of that change management happen internally?
We always invested extensively for the training institution. At a bank level, we have got 6 training level colleges. We are having a focus area. One would be retail banking, other would be corporate banking, agricultural banking, information technology, and also the institutes which are only dedicated for training our incoming employees. Employee base of almost about 230,000 plus. So we have been using multiple structures to train the employees. In the early days, it was all physical training. And of course, as the bank kept on adopting the newer ways of doing the things, the frequency of the training also improved, and also the focus training started happening. So I think I would say that banking sector will eventually become the knowledge sector, and the differentiator is going to be the knowledge. So with that in mind, the training was a very integral part of the banking. Way back in 1961, we had set up our first Apex level college in Hyderabad, which is known as State Bank Staff College. So we have seen the SME lending started happening in the State Bank of India. We have seen agricultural lending happening in State Bank of India, and the latest being the startup financing.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to highlight that whatever be the need of the economy, as a bank, we get a chance to really support that particular need and become relevant. And that is how I think we as State Bank of India have remained relevant all through the years.
I think what is really interesting here, sir, is how you've invested in training through this period. When you talk about numbers like these, for founders like us operating smaller companies, significantly smaller companies, and struggling with change management, I think there's a lot of learning from your experience. The other part of experience, which I think is very fascinating and lots to learn from, is your personal journey. Your time at the bank led you to different parts of the country and various parts of the world also. Would love to know a little bit about how that played out.
Every new place of posting was an opportunity to learn. I had an opportunity of working in North, worked in the state of Rajasthan, worked in Delhi, worked in UP, worked in Haryana, and later on came to a stage when I was posted to overseas, that was to Chicago. The first thing which I learned, that you unlearn whatever you have learned all these years, that is one. Secondly, when it comes to, that's one country where the currency note is a bill.
Yeah.
And sanction has got a negative meaning as compared to how we perceive sanctions.
Yes.
So naturally you have to adapt that kind of a vocabulary to remain relevant and to connect yourself with the local teams.
Very interesting.
And the other very important piece was the compliance regime which we get to see now here in this country. In the year 99-2000, they had already started adopting that compliance regime. And that actually gave a lot of learning in terms of what should be the right compliance culture in the organization. So I think these are some of the things which actually come back to me, which I would say that they are the treasure for me, because it really helped me in terms of upgrading myself also and to remain relevant for the global bank like State Bank of India.
Through your journeys across the world, you came back to India, and from probably being in one of the richest countries in the world to one of the poorest parts of India, which is Raipur, which is Naxal-Affected, very tough environment. How was it working out of that part of the country?
So my philosophy has always been that if at all I've been posted to a particular location, there's something good to learn about. So I actually learned quite a lot over there, almost about 2 years. And Believe me, that was the point of time when we were putting our zonal office on a core banking, all the branches in the zonal office on a core banking, in the most difficult environment when the Naxalite movement was at its peak, ensuring that the network is functioning, working, and then ensuring that the data migration should happen in good time. There were certain geographies where actually we used to do the data migration post the closure of the branch. So post the closure of the branch, there were at least over 40% of the branches were in such locations where the Naxalite movement was at its peak. My team, which was working for the data migration in the upcountry locations also, whenever they used to come with any problem statement, I always used to offer them a solution. I still recall just before Diwali, somebody cut the cable. There is a mayhem almost in the branch. So how to address that? That crowd management. Maintain the cool, take out the previous day's balances, and allow the manual transactions based upon that. Again, in such kind of geographies, there is always a staff shortage.
Yeah.
I always looked at it, resources are either machine or men. If men are not there, go for the machines.
Yeah.
And that's the reason why we went for machines in a bigger way. And we could get to see that people adopted the internet banking also at a much faster pace. So, I mean, if at all you have got a orientation for finding solution, you will succeed. Though there were risks, there were threats. I would not say that they were not there. They were there, but could sail through.
What a fascinating journey. Sir, one of the big initiatives that SBI undertook was the consolidation of associated banks and also the merger of the Bharatiya Mahila Bank. Probably the biggest consolidation of its kind in the history of Indian banking. What kind of challenges did you face in that period?
Actually, before we took the merger of the 6 associate banks and Bharatiya Mahila Bank, we had tried out the concept with State Bank of Saurashtra. And it so happened that incidentally I was involved into that exercise also. So when we did that exercise, there were some learnings which we had captured. And also it's not merely from the integrating, but also from the legal standpoint also. So when we were creating those schemes of mergers, we kept the learning, and there was the organizational memory which was created for that, and we made use of that. So again, when the issue came for merging these 6 banks, they were actually relatively larger bank as compared to the State Bank of Saurashtra and State Bank of Indore, which we had merged. It involves a good amount of decision making on an ongoing basis, and the top management of these banks were required to be on board, and their questions are all answered. Once we got the buy-in, the half of the battle was won. The remaining half, of course, involved the integration of the human resources.
Yeah.
And to my mind, that required enough objectivity, and also the responsibility of the acquiring bank was even greater. So that was very clearly articulated that when we do the merger, we'll have to be transparent in terms of our actions, be it transfer, posting, promotion, or sending people overseas as an incentive. And also for the officers or the employees who are coming on board, the merits of the larger entity were showcased before them, and their personal growth opportunities were also demonstrated before them. So I think that made the life easier in terms of creating the conviction and the confidence among those employees.
Yeah.
So I think these are the kind of things which helped in terms of merging these banks, and I would say merging them painlessly.
I think it seems that there was a lot of focus on communication.
Oh yes.
And transparency, which actually helped deal with potential resistance.
Yes, and also we could visualize that what are the gaps in which are the banks,
Yeah.
and where all we need to retrain them. All that was addressed.
No, I think it's fascinating, especially I think lots to learn for all of us who think about doing mergers and acquisitions. and hesitate to do them primarily because of issues that we anticipate around these.
I fully agree with you, because what I have observed is that M&A in general is a good way to upscale, but if at all it creates value. If it does not create value, it can be damaging too.
Yes, absolutely. Sir, during your time, there was a massive sea change that happened with SBI turning digital, and even at the customer's end, with nearly 8 crore users. How was it implementing or even ideating YONO and taking it to market?
When I assumed the office as a chairman, I had started seeing that the kind of frictions which it was creating in terms of the customer experience. So my first and foremost focus area was how to improve the UI UX.
Wow.
The second important factor which I emphasized upon was that how to ensure the stability of the system, partly through enhancing the hardware, buying in the support of all the vendors. But I must also admit, the vendor which we had not probably done similar kind of a thing of such scale. So for them also it was quite a learning. But nevertheless, my clear focus was I wanted to create a digital bank within the bank. And with that in mind, the focus was very clear, how to improve the customer experience. These are the two broad principles on which I have worked always. It should offer the complete range of services, be it deposit mobilization, be it lending, be it remittances. And the other piece which I worked upon was that agnostic to the device, if people are working on YONO and if they discontinue the journey, they should be in a position to work on the online and also on the physical branch also. So that actually made the life easier even for our frontline employees also. We started doing the pre-approved personal loans during COVID.
Yeah.
When people were in need of money, just 4 clicks away, they were getting the money into their account. Later on, taking further this experience, we started doing the pre-approved business loans. Those who were maintaining balances in their current account. So actually speaking, we started leveraging AI for identifying people who are eligible for pre-approved personal loans and pre-approved business loans. Later on, we started tracking the P&L of YONO.
Okay.
So YONO was also being used as an umbrella platform for distributing our life insurance product, our non-life insurance product, our credit cards, mutual fund, and even opening of our pension fund accounts also. So YONO actually became a very powerful tool in the hand of our customers. Whatever they wanted to do at per their convenience, they can use that. And that is the reason why we could get to see out of a total 55 crore customer base, 8 crore had gone for YONO.
And so what was the economic outcome that came out of YONO? How would you assess that?
I would say that the first order outcome was very positive. The second order, third order in terms of the customer experience, our ability to connect with Gen Z, they cannot be quantified. But they can be quantified perhaps in terms of our acceptability across the generations. So when we say that State Bank of India is, in terms of legacy, it goes back to the 1806. So from 1806 till now, which is now 2025, this is a bank which has remained relevant all through the generations.
That's right.
And when it has remained relevant, it could remain relevant because they could sail with times.
What an incredible time. And so during this time, the bank was also diversifying away from traditional banking revenues. You had multiple engines of growth in your subsidiaries, which is the cards business, life insurance, and obviously a business that we are very familiar with, which is SBI Mutual Fund. How was it sort of getting all of that together and getting the bank to align on non-traditional sources of revenue?
I used to call it a power of one. Power of one is the brand one.
Yeah.
Brand is State Bank.
Yes.
And under that banner, whatever products we are introducing, they are all driven out of trust.
Yeah.
As a bank, we were serving to almost about 54 crore customers, which actually means that we were serving to almost every household. So, from that standpoint, once we started understanding the behavior, customer behavior, their psyche, we could actually offer them the product which they would have looked for. And then on the top of it, the convenience of the distribution channel through YONO.
Yeah.
YONO, turned out to be a very important productivity lever for us, particularly, when it comes to mutual fund, when it comes to life insurance, non-life insurance, credit card. These are the products sought by the Gen Z. And Gen Z is comfortable with YONO.
Yes.
That is why all these products are rolled out from YONO with the passage of time. Even pension, SBI pension fund also was rolled out from YONO. So that helped in terms of scaling up the market for these entities,
Yeah.
and also offering frictionless services to a very large group of cohort of customers.
It's amazing how YONO became the force multiplier for the subsidiaries also, because when we are looking at the growth of, let's say, SBI Mutual Fund, the kind of incredible compounding that we have seen in that business by itself is just fascinating. So from your vantage point, when you were leading SBI, how would you think about all of that activity that's happening in the FinTech startup domain?
So I've always looked at FinTech as value creator. If at all we can give them a problem statement, they could come out with a solution. But very often we were facing challenge when such solutions were exposed to scale. Those are not scalable. So that's why we always looked at it from the point of view of the robustness of the solution, from the scalability point of view, apart from addressing the problem statement. And also to remain respectful to the compliance environment. Because as in the financial sector is one sector which is always very tightly regulated, and rightly so. There is a need for being respectful to those regulations.
Absolutely.
And then how to work within those regulations is very, very important. So I think to that extent, as a leading bank of the country, we probably created that kind of a work culture for startups who are working with us.
So during the last few years, and partly on the banking side and partly through FinTech companies, we've seen a huge surge in personal loans. How have you seen that play out? What are like the concerns and the positives around such a high adoption of personal loans in India?
Actually, around COVID period, we have seen significant increase in our pre-approved personal loans. But I used to maintain before the investors that though they are unsecured, but they are better than the secured.
Okay.
There were the reasons, because we were offering these pre-approved personal loans to those who are maintaining their salary accounts with us. And we had a very clear visibility of the salary credits on an ongoing basis for past so many years. So, though there was no security, but at the same time, the cash flows are known and the ability to service that debt was very clearly known. And that is one of the reasons why we had the least of the delinquencies in such personal loans. So, of course, today when it comes to personal loans, very often while extending such loans, there is not enough due diligence which is done. In fact, I myself saw one of my staff member who was not having adequate salary, but when he went to the market, he got the personal loan almost to the extent of his salary. So when I looked at that, I could see that this is a big challenge. Such loans were being offered only by looking at the ticket size of the purchase. So if at all one is buying cell phone for once in 3 years or once in 2 years, how can you be given the loan? You would have your own savings. So that is a very clear reflection that unless and until the ability to repay is very well understood, such loans should not be granted. But I think nowadays we are seeing that the leverage on the individual balance sheet has gone up multiple times. Though it is still lower than what the global average is, but nevertheless it has gone up. But there is a slight difference when it comes to globe. There's a social securities
Yeah.
in place. We don't have any social security in place.
Hmm.
So first and foremost, we have to have that social security in place. And secondly, we have to have the certainty of the cash flows.
Hmm.
So today when we look at the cash flow movement, we don't really assess the certainty.
Hmm.
There's a need to really assess that also. If at all we will do like that, the quality of the book which will be created will be pristine in nature.
And one challenge that outside in is something that we potentially feel, and given I saw both my parents being a part of a public sector bank, is the potential difference in compensation scales between private sector banks and public sector banks, where in fact sometimes public sector banks the remit is much larger, the impact is significantly higher. How would you manage that situation and motivating team members in that context?
Actually, there was a report which was carried out which has highlighted that up to AGM level, the public sector bank pays much more than the private sector banks.
Okay.
So that very clearly is a reflection that the core team who are involved for execution, they are being adequately remunerated.
This is not very commonly known actually.
Yes. But when it comes to top management who is responsible for taking all the decisions, they are being paid very poorly.
Yeah.
That is also a fact.
Yeah.
The way I look at it is that that core team which is responsible for execution and they are being paid well, and also there are enough growth opportunities for them. So that ensures the continuity of the skill. Now when it comes to senior management, the kind of variety which they are required to handle, the kind of professional growth which they can achieve in these banks is significantly more than what any private sector bank would offer. The kind of scale which these banks run on, they are very different.
Yeah.
So I think that is something which keeps the senior management fully charged in the public sector banks.
Yeah.
Actually, the one is so much involved into the job and the responsibilities. One hardly get a time to really address this particular aspect. Having said that, I must also mention the way bank looks after at senior management scale, that is also quite credible. So though they may not be getting money, but they are being very well treated by the organization. So I think that's a plus. But yes, of course, when you hang up your boots, you have a very different experience.
Yeah, I personally feel there's a lot of work possible on that area because some of the most high quality impact is happening by banks like yours. So like I was saying earlier, when I started my career, the entire banking industry was 2 lakh crores in market cap. Today it is almost 50 times of that, 95 lakh crores. How do you see the future of banking in India?
My assessment is that it will grow 20 times from where it is today.
20 times further from
Yes.
here. Okay.
So today when it comes to the deposit base, it is about 239 trillion.
Yeah.
And when it comes to loan book, it is about 189 trillion.
Yeah.
My sense is that it will be somewhere in the range of about 4,000 to 5,000 trillion. That will be the size of the industry. And naturally for that kind of a size and scale, I would say that the complexion will change quite a lot. The real economy will also undergo a lot of transformation. So on that particular scale, to support that kind of a lending, the capital also has to go up multiple times. For that to really happen, there has to be inflow of foreign capital. There has to be generation of capital within, that is through profit and its plowback, and also adoption of some of the hybrid instruments, which is already there, AT1 and Tier 2. So the kind of handicap which is there with AT1 today, maybe that would need to be addressed. So that's what my assessment is, that how the banking will look like from now onwards.
So 81 bonds, a huge challenge during the Yes Bank crisis because it's neither debt nor equity, and even today mutual funds don't know how to address that opportunity.
Yeah.
Sir, you've overseen a 50 lakh crore business and you also seen the economy up close. How has that influenced how you manage your personal wealth?
I always believed in the principle of allocation, and part of it is equity, which I can keep where I don't have immediate requirement. Part of it I keep in the liquid form also, and part of it is debt. That's how I've allocated. And of course, anybody from the middle class will always have one home, which I also have. So that's how it has been.
So one final question. You saw India both outside and inside out very closely in the last 40 years in your role at SBI. What is your vision for the country? Where do you think we are going? What are the opportunities, challenges, pitfalls ahead of us?
See, as a nation, of course, we have become the fourth largest, and there is a conscious effort to become the third largest also by the year 2030. There is a very clear focus in terms of ensuring that the per capita income also improves, and that is one of the reasons why manufacturing is becoming one of the major focus area for the economy. So I would say that today, when it comes to the policymakers, they are taking right steps which eventually will help us accomplishing our dream of becoming the developed nation by 2047. There is a very serious effort, there is a very serious concerted effort, I would say, being put in by the industry majors, by the policymakers, and there is a lot of focus in terms of upgrading the knowledge base of the economy, focusing on innovation. So today, perhaps the need is that we have to have innovation in place. We have to industrialize that innovation so that we have got the USPs in the production. So I think this is something which will eventually oscillate this economy to the developed state.
So investment in innovation and therefore risk capital probably is what we are looking for. So when we started recording, I thought this will be a masterclass in banking, but I think this has been a full-fledged MBA degree. We learned a lot in this conversation. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. I appreciate it.